The White Peak has got to be my favourite place to run. You can see in the distance there, we've got Thorpe Clouds, and I remember coming here when I was really young, and we used to walk up there with my mum and my grandparents, and I used to think that it was the biggest mountain in the world, and it was amazing going hiking up there when I was really young. And then more recently, to the left, you've got Flagpole, and that is one of the big climbs in the Island Fell Race route. So it's not a particularly long race, it's only about 6k, but it is a real stinger because you've got 3 massive climbs, up, down, around up Thorpe Cloud as well, and that's my absolute favourite. So whenever I'm training for anything, I love to come back and retrace the Island Fell Race route because it's just so brilliant. And then in the background, you've just got all these amazing views of the limestone, the dry stone walls and the blue sky. So in summer, there's really nowhere better to run. So before Harrier, I was working a standard 9-to-5 job. I was working for the government in animal welfare, production animal welfare. So I've got a degree in animal science, and I always wanted to go into work in agriculture, actually. And so I did about 10 years of that. A lot of it was working on farms and with discussion groups, and I think working with farmers really helped me in the business in relation to cost control and looking at profits and margins, because that's something that I'm really interested in on the business side. So as I learnt how to do these business meetings with farmers, where in the agricultural industry it's really important to know your costs and to get things really right, then that just helped me with the business. But I just felt like the 9-to-5 job was not right for me. I felt that I didn't like to be at a desk all day. I didn't really like somebody telling me what to do, how to do things. And so I was just desperate to think of an idea of what could I do to start my own business? How could I work for myself? I've tried a few harebrained ideas over the years. I did things like doggy daycare. I tried selling other things on Amazon and eBay until finally I had this light bulb moment of, oh, there is a gap in the trail running industry. And I thought, I'm just going to go for it. And then the rest is history. I started running at school and really enjoyed things like cross country and sports day and things. But I think the earliest memories of me being out in the hills were when I was quite young as a child. We used to live in South Africa, and when we moved back to England, my mum was single parent, and so she used to go to these rambling clubs to meet people basically and make some more friendships. And so she used to take me out with her rambling when I was about 6 or 7. So I'd have my little backpack on, I'd have my walking boots and things, and she used to take me on these really long walks. You know, they were only about 10k, but they felt like forever for little legs. And I'd go along with her, and we'd go to places like Dovedale and Lathkildale in the White Peak, and I just used to absolutely love it. It was a complete baptism of fire, really, starting out. I mean, I've got absolutely no background in business or e-commerce or anything. I just learned as I went. I learned everything from YouTube videos and blogs and seeing things online, and just built myself up, really. I started out by buying 50 first aid kits and thought, well, I'll try and sell these on Facebook. So I tried to sell them through a little Facebook shop. And I still remember the first order that I got. I couldn't believe it, that somebody had brought this first aid kit from me. You know, somebody who I'd never met before, and they'd paid for this first aid kit. And then I sold the first 50, and then I brought some bivvies, some emergency sleeping bags, and then it just kind of progressed from there. So each time I got to another milestone with how much I was selling, I would kind of learn how to do the next thing, say with a website or different postage methods or advertising. And I would just learn a little bit more each week or each month. This is whilst I was still working in a day job, so I did the two parallel to each other for quite a long time, working around the clock basically to be able to do both, until I felt like I was ready to make the jump to doing Harrier full time. So this is our new unit, 3,000 square foot. Before this, we're in about 400 square foot. So as you can imagine, it was a bit of a squeeze. And now we've got all of this beautiful space and light, which is so great to work in. And it's made everything so much easier. So I thought I'd give you a little tour and you can see how we've laid it out, all of our products and how we've done it so that we're really efficient when it comes to packing and we get everybody's parcels out same day or next working day. So down here, our most popular items are definitely the soft bottles and the race vests, and that's why we have them quite close to the table. So we've got all of the different colours, and I always think they look really nice because you've got all of the bright colours with the 500 mils and the 300 mils, and everybody mixes and matches them depending on what their favourite colours are. Oh, this will be interesting. So these are, I always save all of our examples so that we can see how far that we've come, and also if I need to refer back to anything. So I thought I'd show you one of our first ever race vests. This was the first ever Kinder that was made. As you can see, it was definitely work in progress. It was not great, but saying that it was the first thing that I produced, and we did it with a supplier as well, I'm still really proud of this, and I love to hang on to it just so that I can see it, so I'll never get rid of this because I love having a look back. And then also some other things that we've got are these bum bags. So bit of a running joke in our household that when we first started, and I was trying to sell on Amazon, getting used to how to sell e-commerce, we brought 100 of these bum bags, and I made Matt photograph them all. So I had him on the floor with a white sheet behind them trying to do some professional photography, and it took us ages to sell them, so they were just lying around the house for ages, but I said we'll save it just as a reminder of where we first started. So as you can see, we've got all of this lovely racking up, and it just makes everything so neat and tidy and off the floor. We did use pallets in the old unit. It's quite expensive, racking is, but for how nice it makes everything look, and just it keeps everything so neat and so tidy, we just love it. It's completely lifted the whole place. So we moved in a few weeks ago, and we put all of this racking up, and then put all of the boxes on. On these aisles, we've got all of our race vests. So we've got them organised into colours and sizes. So these are our nice blue Kerber 5 litres, which are brilliant for summer and springtime. And then the other side, we've got our black 5 litres, which is pretty smart. I think that's my favourite actually, the black 5 litre. I love it with the bright turquoise detail. And then we've got our Kinder 10 litres. We've got our black and red and our navy, and the black and red only came out earlier this year, but it's by far been the most popular, and it's our most popular product overall as well.
So when the brand was being built and it was a bit of a sideline, when that sort of big bombshell was dropped, Kate thought, you know, let's go for it full time. It'd just be really interesting to hear how you thought at that exact moment.
It's an interesting question because at the time we hadn't that long moved into here. I don't think it would be sort of maybe less than a year. I know that I'd just gone into a new job, so in terms of a lot of other things, it was a huge gamble. So my honest opinion would think I was quite scared about it all. I was sort of going, oh, okay. yeah, this is a bold move. But at the back of my head, I also trusted Kate's judgment on it. So it was, I think apprehensive is probably the best word to describe it. But Kate had obviously tried numerous other things. You saw the bum bags today, and then tried doggy daycare businesses. And it's not that they didn't work, but it was always the next step sort of thing. I was thinking, oh Christ, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the one? So when Harrier came along, she obviously built it up, and we're packing bottles inside the lounge, and we're trying to get it all up and started. And then I thought, at least we've got both of our incomes coming in. And then Kate said, right, I'm quitting my job now. I was like, oh God. So that was my initial first thought. But still, like I said, back on my mind, it was like, yeah, she'll push through this and make it happen. I think she's always been very driven, and that's in anything. She's always got a set agenda of how she wants to sort of get through in life, and you know, it speaks volumes in how she runs the company and how she's done other stuff. She's very driven, attention to details, you know, immaculate how she tries to get everything done for Harrier. You know, and honestly, she gets stressed out a bit more, but that's what comes with running a business, and we've got a small family, and we've had a lot of stuff to deal with over the last year. So yeah, you know, it takes toll, that sort of side of things, and I think that's something that she doesn't let on to the public. You know, she's the face of Harrier, and she's happy, jolly, and she is happy and jolly, but you know, it's hard work to make this happen, and especially Kate has gone through a lot to do this, and I think, you know, she sacrificed a lot of time, a lot of her energy, and running, for example, you know, she can't do as much of that anymore. So from Kate, as I knew before this, not really, but in terms of she's definitely grown wiser and learnt a lot of things from this, definitely. So yeah, not in personality, but in terms of experiences, I would say she's changed, yeah.
So the name came afterwards from my mum, actually, because when she was, I was trying to think of this name for ages for the business, and my mum had been talking to me a lot about Chris Packham, because he's always talking about hen harriers in the wild, and I think my mum kind of likes Chris Packham, so she's always talking about him. And when I was just walking the dog one day and I was thinking of all these different names, then I thought, oh, Harrier would be brilliant, because it ties in with fell running, it ties in with running clubs being harriers, and I just like the idea of being quite free, and the brand being quite free as well, the whole ethos of it, and so it just completely stuck after that. And then as soon as I thought of it, I got trademarking. Yeah, so once it was quite difficult, because it's just a bit of a vicious circle at the start, because you want to have a brand, but you don't have any products to sell with your branding. And if you don't have the trademark, you're worried about getting too much stuff branded, because if you can't get the trademark, you can't sell the stock. So it was a little bit tricky to get going at the start, but I made the plunge with some hydration things. So the soft bottles were the first things that I got made up with our branding. And they were only blue colour, so we didn't have all the different colours. And I think I ordered about 100 or something. You know, we order in the thousands now quite regularly. And so we got 100, and that was a massive investment for me, these 100 bottles. And when they arrived, it was February, it was freezing cold. And I dragged Matt down to the lake near where we lived, because I was like, we need photos, because we can't sell these without any photos. And then I put them on Facebook, and put them on the Facebook group, which had about 50 people on it, tops. Half of them were my friends, you know, and then gradually we started getting the word out, and gradually they sold. So I built myself a little website that was e-commerce based, and then I had the Facebook page to kind of get a bit of momentum with people knowing who we are and what we were about. And so we started selling things through the website. At this point, I was still handwriting all the labels, and I was also handwriting thank you notes to everybody. And the customers in the early days, I still remember all of them, writing to them, and I still speak to them on Facebook, and they all remember the thank you note as well. And they always remind me and say, oh, you know, I remember when I got that thank you card from you. And I would handwrite all of these notes to people, because it meant so much that people were starting to recognise us and support us. It was a little bit later in life when I got back into trail running, and in my late 20s I started running again when I lived in Nottingham, and I used to run around Nottingham city centre, and I just hated it. I hated the road running. I hated people beeping and shouting out car windows, you know, when you're running like everybody gets. And so I decided to go off to a place called Sherwood Pines, which was, it's actually more of a cycle, like a mountain bike cycle park. And I used to run round the Blue Route, which was a 10k trail route. And I didn't even know what trail running was at that point at all. I was just happy to get away from the cars, get away from the noise. And I used to run round laps of this route and build myself up to half marathon. And then I found out that this thing was trail running, basically. And then I thought, oh, I maybe don't need to follow these routes anymore. Maybe I can go back to the White Peak, go back to Dovedale and get back on the trails and just start getting back into it properly again from my walking days when I was a kid. I've definitely found over the years that I prefer longer distance. I do think that that suits my personality. Long days out in the hills, nothing too strenuous. I just love the long days out and the adventure and seeing all these different places, especially in the Peak District. I do also really love the shorter races as well, you know, 10 milers and things. So it's been nice to have a big variety of different types of running and races over the years. But I would definitely say that the longer distance hilly routes are definitely where I love. And as I've grown in confidence to start doing a bit more of the fell running in the Lake Districts and a few Bob Graham support rounds and things, which I've also really enjoyed. It's not been the easiest having Alex really with the business, especially early on, because I think a lot of people, they get to have a year off, you know, they get to have maternity, but when it's your own company you can't do that because you can delegate as much as you want, but I think when it's your company you still have to have quite a lot in it. So it's been hard, but I think it's difficult now, but in the future it will be easier because we're our own boss, so we can have more flexibility. But how have you found it?
I think, yeah, you were saying at the start, yeah, you have to sort of like try and delegate, but at the start it was just me and you really on the ground. So when it was delegating, it was all on me or vice versa.
Yeah.
So like you say, it was difficult, wasn't it? First month we thought, oh, we'll ride through it, we'll push on and try and do as best we can, and then realise it was just absolutely impossible.
Yeah, we couldn't, so we took 2 weeks off. We said if we're struggling, we'll take 2 weeks off. So we did. We shut the website, but we didn't stop. We were still doing customer service and working, so we never really stopped, which was quite tough. We got through it.
We did. And
we're all right, and now we just work it around nap time, basically.
Yeah.
Alex's nap times, not our nap times.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Employing Gilly as well, that was a huge step forward in the business. You know, getting somebody else on to help on the ground was massive. But I think we got that just at the right time.
Yeah.
Otherwise we would be where we were when he was born, really, with the exact same capacity and trying to do it all ourselves. Moving into a new warehouse, trying to do all that on our own, trying to look after him and try, you know, look after ourselves as well. It's not.
Yeah, looking after ourselves.
I think we forget that we run ourselves into the ground, trying to just keep things going, and you do that. Especially, I think you try and like keep an overview and everything. But now we've got a good team. We've got Mary on.
Oh, Mary's so great as well. Yeah.
Mary on down south. Yeah.
Yeah, she is great.
We've got Gilly and then us too. So it's definitely spreading out more and making it definitely feasible to raise him and keep our foot in the door.
Yeah.
Quite substantially as well. So.
Because starting this business was never about making lots of money or, you know, getting massive and global and things. It was always just about us to have lots of family time and to work less, so not have to be 8 hours a day. And as you can see, it's nice because we just all get to be together all the time. So it's not easy, but wouldn't have it any other way. So I think he's excited when I'm talking. We do have a fair bit of structure just to keep everything, everything going, but then we just try to be as flexible as possible in case somebody's in a bit of a funny mood, or we've got lots of orders to deal with, or not so many, or if we just want to see friends or family. So we try and swing it where work will lead the way, but also very much life as well, so we've got a really good work-life balance.
Just seeing that sort of community of such loyal customers grow, how proud are you of it? 'Cause I think it's an amazing achievement.
Oh yeah, it's insane. I keep seeing like little things pop up for Businesswoman of the Year and this sort of stuff. I think, Christ, yeah, that should be Kate, and I probably need to start putting in some applications, to be honest. But yeah, it's mental. I think it was one person at the end of the day who started this. The room above us is where she got her first order, and I can remember her packing it and walking up to the post office to post it. And then when stuff started to get real, it started to go into bags, like not just parcels, it was bags would go up to the post office from here. I was like, okay, it's getting real. And then big shipments would come from the UPS and arrive at our house, and I'll come home from work and be like, blimey, it's like our house is a warehouse. And so we've gone from little packages to big boxes to boxes going out all of a sudden, and yeah, to see that is definitely a sense of pride, 100% for Kate, and the atmosphere she's created, like say a community. It's not just a brand, it's a community, and that's not just for the people who are buying our products, it's for the guys who we've got working for us as well. Got a great community at work, and I think that echoes in the sense that it echoes in what people see of us, and when people buy the products, they sort of invest in that community as well, and that's all hats off to Kate. So yeah, you mentioned you already sort of answered the question when you asked it, how proud are you? I'm very, very proud. Yeah, definitely.
I love the Harrier kit because it's really well made. It's designed and made by runners. It's got some really nice little touches to it, especially the vests, they're brilliant.
And I love being part of the Harrier trail running community as well, because it's a really supportive, fun place to be. It's a place where we can just cheerlead on each other for all the different challenges and events that are going on.
I love the Harrier kit. Been using it for just over a year now. Ever so reliable, comfortable. The vest has got me through a few ultras. Yeah, just highly recommend it.
I love being part of the community because there's loads of great advice, especially on the poles, which I'm a newbie to. So yeah, it's really great, and I'm very proud to wear the Harrier.
I really am happy to be part of the Harrier community. They're a really friendly bunch, very supportive. They all do crazy wild things, which is really inspiring. And yeah, I'm very happy to be involved.
The community are really supportive, and you just you feel part of something. So yeah, it's a really good brand. Love it.